Have you ever gone to a party only to realize that it is not the party you had expected? What comes to my mind is the classic wedding rehearsal dinner, the one that is thrown for the family of the two about to be married and for the folks with roles in the upcoming ceremony. Lines to recite or some sort of choreography to perform. In the midst of the meal being served during toasts to the happy couple, someone stands and begins to give a history of the life of one of them, mostly an account of sins, misdeeds, embarrassing moments, often even illegal activities. It's all meant to be funny and demonstrate how intimate the speaker's relationship has been to the victim about to be married, but usually makes everyone very uncomfortable, often angry at more than one person at the so-called party, and anxious about the upcoming nuptials. We come together this evening for a party to celebrate, to commemorate the first Eucharist. If we think for a moment, we can recall the many times Jesus sat with friends, disciples, Pharisees, all sorts and conditions of men, women, and children, to eat a meal. But this meal is the biggest party of them all. It is central to our being followers of Christ. There is an account of what we have come to call the Last Supper in each of the four Gospels, as well as one in a letter of Paul the Apostle. It is clearly indicated in these accounts that preparations are being made to celebrate the Jewish Seder, the Passover, the commemoration of God's deliverance of the Israelites out of slavery in Egypt. We hear in the Old Testament lesson of the bloody lamb shank bone marking the doorposts so that God will pass over and not kill the firstborn, unleavened bread made in haste, and in the gospel we hear of dipping bread into what may have been salt water to symbolize tears shed by the captive Israelites. All foods that find their way to the Seder tables of 2023. Paul, Matthew, and Mark give similar versions of the event, where we hear the familiar words, take, eat, this is my body, this is my blood given, shed for thee. Do this in remembrance of me. John's version is quite different. It is the party we came to, thinking it would be something other than what it was. And during supper, that's pretty much the extent of what John gives us as far as food, body, blood, and remembering are concerned. From other accounts, we can recognize the first Eucharist, but John spins things around to a seemingly entirely different place. Servitude. I may be throwing you a party. We may be eating and drinking and laughing and enjoying one another's company. But even more important is that we are here to serve one another. With this party, I'm serving you, Jesus seems to say. You call me rabbi, teacher, Lord, but my most important function is to serve you. You will be the rabbis, the teachers to others, and must always remember that you are there to serve. I used to think Maundy Thursday had an identity crisis, similar to Palm Sunday's paradox between the joyful chaos surrounding Messiah's triumphal entry into Jerusalem and his lifeless body being laid in a stone-cold tomb. Which is it tonight? Is it the joyful commemoration of delivery out of Egypt, morphing into the first Christian Eucharist? Is it the foot washing? Is it the pervasive preoccupation with betrayal? So much of this text is devoted to betrayal. What exactly do we remember at the Eucharist? We remember Christ sacrificed, the Lamb without blemish. Can there be any more demonstrative act of servitude than for an innocent person to willingly offer themselves to be sacrificed for the multitude of the world's sins? The countless ongoing tragedies of injustice we continue to heap upon ourselves and one another. Jesus knows how God is going to resolve all of this, but since we guests are still in the dark, Jesus performs the downright embarrassing act of servitude by washing our feet. Remember how I have served you. When you get together for a party, as you are eating and drinking, remember what I did for you. Remember how uncomfortable you were when I washed your feet, because that discomfort is nothing compared with how you will feel when you betray me, when you deny me. So I ask you, Jesus says, remember me when you gather together at this sacred table, whenever, wherever you gather together. Remember you are able to gather together because of me, because my Father sent me to be with you, to love you, to live with you, to party with you, to serve you. Remember me.